pleasant day to everyone, and welcome to the virtual opening ceremonies of the 30th Library and Information Services Month. My name is Jose Tomasito M. Fernando, your host for today's event. By virtue of Presidential Proclamation number 837, Series of 1991, November is the Library and Information Services Month. This year, the theme is Library. Libraries relate, engage, advocate, and lead. It is a wordplay that captures the essence of the Sustainable Development Goals established in the United Nations 2030 Agenda and integrated in the Philippine Development Plan of 2017 to 2022. To officially open this virtual event, may we request everyone to please rise for the singing of the National Anthem, to be followed by a doxology.
Splendor of a king, clothed in majesty, let all the earth rejoice, all the earth rejoice. He wraps himself in light, and darkness tries to hide. It trembles at his voice, it trembles at his voice. How great is our God? Sing with me, how great is our God? And all will see how great is our God. Age to age you're worthy.
Let us view a slideshow presentation from the 29th LIS Month celebration, followed by the messages from the President and the Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. To welcome us with a heartwarming message, let us have Ms. Maricel M. Ureña, overall chairperson of the LIS Month 2020.
To Ms. Christine Mackenzie, President of the International Federation of Library Associations, Professor Salvacion M. Arlante, Head of the National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, our distinguished Board for Librarians members, headed by Chairman Yolanda C. Granda, our dear directors of the National Library of the Philippines, Director Cesar Gilbert Q. Adriano, and Assistant Director Edgardo Quiroz. Fellow committee members, led by Ms. Jennifer D. Masaca and Ms. Melanie Ramirez. Our different library organizations, presidents and members all over the Philippines, under the umbrella of Philippine Librarians Associations Incorporated, under the leadership of Ms. Emma Ray. Fellow librarians, library personnel, library stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Today we witness the virtual opening of the 30th Library and Information Services Month. As I have mentioned previously, that though we have gone digital, the essence of LIS Month is still the same: to engage the Filipino community in the importance of libraries and library services nationwide. Though we have launched the whole celebration on digital platforms for the first time, we are looking forward to its success. The theme brings into mind the role of libraries to relate, engage, advocate, and lead Filipinos to a brighter road despite challenges. Libraries provide not only resources and services for learning, support to literacy and education, but also opportunities for new ideas and perspectives that are the central for the development of our country. Values that we hope to see not only during LIS month, but throughout the year as well. We hope that you join us through this morning and through the rest of the month. Thank you and a pleasant morning to all.
Thank you, Ms. Urenia. To deliver the opening remarks, let us have Director Cesar Gilbert Q. Adriano of the National Library of the Philippines.
A pleasant day to everyone. Every month of November, we celebrate the Library and Information Services Month by virtue of the Presidential Proclamation number 837, series of 1991. The celebration takes prime in focusing on the public awareness to the invaluable services that the libraries and information centers render. The month-long activities is under the direction and auspices of the National Library of the Philippines and the National Commission for Culture and the Arts National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, or NCLIS. For this year, the theme LIBRIL is the acronym for Relate, Engage, Advocate, Lead. This year's catchy theme aptly and vividly captures the essence of the library's role in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals established in the United Nations 2030 Agenda and integrated into our Philippine Development Plan in 2017 to 2022. Now, during this pandemic, we should be LIBRIL. Relate, the library's wide range of products and services made accessible and available to the disadvantaged sectors of society. They become potent agents in liberating communities from the perpetuity of ignorance that inevitably results in a ending cycle of poverty and hopelessness. Engage the communities and other stakeholders to generate interest about libraries and its services. Advocate the library's role in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals established in the United Nations 2030 Agenda. Lead in an environment conducive to innovation, empowerment, creativity, and intellectual freedom. Again, let's get library. Happy LIS Month!
Thank you, Director Adriano. And now, to give her message about this year's celebration, let us welcome Professor Salvacion M. Arlante, the Chairperson of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts, National Committee on Libraries and Information Services. Let's give her a warm round of applause.
Good morning, everyone. November is Library and Information Services Month by virtue of Presidential Proclamation Number 837, Series of 1991. This year's 30th celebration is spearheaded by the National Library of the Philippines in partnership with the National Committee on Libraries and Information Services of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts and the Philippine Librarians Association Incorporated. Focuses on engendering public awareness to the individual service that libraries and information centers render. This year's theme, Live Real, a portmanteau for libraries, and the acronym RELATE, Engage, Advocate, and Lead, vividly captures the essence of the role of libraries in attaining the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations 2030 Agenda and integrated into our Philippine Development Plan of 2017 to 2022. This is also an initiative of the American Library Association, ALA, called Libraries Transforming Communities, acronym LTC, that seeks to strengthen the role of libraries as core community leaders and change agents. LTC addresses a critical need within the library field by developing new tools, resources, and support for libraries to engage with their communities in new ways. As a result, ALA believes libraries will become more reflective of and connected to their communities and build a strong partnerships with local agencies, nonprofits, funders, and corporations. In the context of the UN 2030 Agenda, with emphasis to access and opportunity for all and how libraries contribute to this agenda, the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions believes that increasing access to information and knowledge across society, assisted by the availability of information and communication technologies, supports sustainable development and improves people's lives. The UN 2030 Agenda is an inclusive, integrated framework of 17 Sustainable Development Goals spanning economic, environmental, and social development. By achieving this agenda, no one will be left behind. Fellow librarians, friends, ladies and gentlemen, libraries are key institutions to help achieve the goals. Public access to information enables people to make informed decisions that can improve their lives. Communities that have access to timely and relevant information for all are better positioned to eradicate poverty and inequality, improve agriculture, provides quality education, and supports people's health and build effective, accountable, and inclusive institutions at all levels: culture, research, and innovation. Half of the world's population lacks access to information online. In our knowledge society, libraries provide access and opportunity for all. Universal literacy is recognized in the vision for the UN 2030 agenda. We envision a world with universal literacy. Worldwide, 320,000 public libraries, more than 1 million parliamentary, national, university, research, school, and special libraries ensure that information and the skills to use it are available to everyone, making them critical institutions for all in the digital age. Libraries provide information and communication technology infrastructure, help people develop the capacity to use information effectively, and preserve information to ensure ongoing access for future generations. They provide an established, trusted network of local institutions that can reach out to all parts of the population. It would be remiss not to acknowledge that 3 national organizations have recognized the importance of cross-sector collaboration and education. These are libraries, archives, and museums. These 3 are sustainable institutions. They share resources in the community and internationally and ensure everyone has access to information. They play a significant role in providing access to data, research, and knowledge that supports informed research and public access to information, and a key role in the preservation of indigenous knowledge. Let us make sure we use these institutions, which can help open up data sets and knowledge resources and provide access to the ICT people need to achieve sustainable development. Now, in a time of political discourse and change, it is even more important for cultural heritage institutions to re-examine and reaffirm their role as safe community spaces, as custodians and advocates for cultural heritage, and as providers of quality education. Magandang araw sa inyo lahat.
Thank you, Ma'am Arlante. The National Library of the Philippines is not only a home for recorded cultural heritage, but also a place for talented employees. To entertain us with a musical presentation, let us welcome the NLP Band.
Give up forever.
for the beautiful serenade. For the introduction of the keynote speaker, may we have Ms. Melanie A. Ramirez, Chairperson of the LIS Operations Committee 2020.
It is my honor to introduce to you our keynote speaker. She is the president of International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, or IFLA. She retired as CEO of Yarra Plenty Regional Library Service in Melbourne, Australia in 2016 after 12 years in that role and following a long career in public libraries. Previously, she was a manager of Brisbane City Council Library Service, the largest public library system in Australia. She has been very active in IFLA and was president-elect 2017 to 2019 and treasurer in 2015 to 2017. She was a co-founder of iNelly Oceania, a program funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation that provided leadership training for librarians in Australia, New Zealand, and the South Pacific, and which sponsored the formation of the Pacific Libraries Network in 2018. She has been a member of the Australian Government Public Lending Rights Committee, the Library Boards of Victoria's Advisory Committee on Public Libraries, the Victorian Government's Ministerial Advisory Council on Public Libraries, the executive of the Public Libraries Victorian Network, and a juror for the Intelligent Communities Forum. She has held a number of roles in ALIA, including President 2003 to 2004. She was awarded an ALIA Fellowship in 2008 and the VALA Robert D. Williamson Award in 2012. Please welcome our keynote speaker, Ms. Christine Mackenzie.
Dear colleagues, dear friends, I'm very pleased to be part of this virtual opening of Library and Information Services Month presented by the National Library of the Philippines. This is an impressive milestone, the 30th commemoration of LIS Month. And what a great theme you've chosen, LibReal, Libraries Relate, Engage, Advocate, Lead. I acknowledge the Director of the National Library of the Philippines, Mr. Cesar Gilbert Adriano, the Head of the National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, Mrs. Salvacion Alante, the overall Chairperson of the LIS Month 2020, Maricel Urena, and Melanie Ramirez, Chairperson of the Operations Committee 2020, who has organised for me to be part of your celebrations. In Australia, it is customary to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where we meet. Today, I am presenting from the traditional lands of the Wurundjeri people, and I pay my respects to their elders past and present. And I also acknowledge all Indigenous colleagues who have joined us today. And to everyone who is part of this happy celebration, G'day from Australia, Kumasta. In August, I was delighted to be a speaker for the virtual recognition rights for graduating students from the University of the Philippines School of Information and Library Studies. Some of you new graduates might be with us online today. And if you are, hello, and I hope you're doing very well. I'm here today representing IFLA, the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, and the global voice of libraries. So I'll just tell you a bit about IFLA. It was founded in 1927 and has been based in The Hague in the Netherlands since the 1970s. It is a federation of library associations and institutions, although we do have some individual members, and we've got over 1,500 members from 150 countries. IFLA has two main roles. Firstly, to advocate for libraries at the highest level in places like the United Nations, UNESCO and WIPO, the World Intellectual Property Organization. Secondly, we are there to support the global library field. One of the main ways we do that is through the work of our volunteers who make up the 60 professional units of IFLA. Truly, those 1,200 people are the library world's brains trust. The work of the professional units includes professional development opportunities, developing and maintaining standards and guidelines, and sharing expertise. Between them, they cover every aspect of library work. And in these strange COVID times, IFLA is facilitating the exchange of information about how libraries are managing challenges and opportunities. And there's a website that's full of examples and stories about from libraries around the world and what they're doing, and I encourage you to have a look. There you will see all the different things that libraries are doing who are affected by the pandemic, how they're affected in different ways and how they're meeting those challenges. 4 years ago, IFLA started a very big project to develop a global vision for the library field. This involved thousands of library workers from around the world. We held workshops, conducted surveys, and engaged as many people as we could. And the result was the IFLA Global Vision Statement. Our vision, our future. A strong and united library field powering literate, informed and participative societies. The Global Vision Report lists 10 highlights and 10 opportunities for the library field going forward, and all this documentation is available on the IFLA website. And from all the input that we got from all the continents, including Antarctica, and 190 countries, there was one key finding. We are united globally in our goals and values. 3 of the highlights relate to our values, and these are, firstly, we are dedicated to equal and free access to information and knowledge. Across the library field, no value was more highly rated than a commitment to equal and free access to information and knowledge. We remain deeply committed to supporting literacy, learning and reading. Our traditional area of strength, supporting learning, literacy and reading are universally recognised as central to the achievements of libraries' missions. And we are focused on serving our communities. Regardless of how we define our community, we have a deep commitment to meeting user needs. We value diversity, inclusion, and the importance of providing non-commercial public space. So, when we look at the theme of your celebrations this year, I was thinking about how they work together. And so you've chosen 4 strong and important words: relate, engage, advocate, and lead. And I think that the best way to relate and engage and lead conversations that we need to have to advocate for libraries and the values I talked about before is by storytelling. And the framework I want to put this into is the United Nations 2030 Agenda. I believe that advocating for the UN 2030 Agenda for creating a sustainable and fairer world is one of the most important roles libraries have. All kinds of libraries in all countries. There are still too many who don't know about the United Nations Agenda and the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. IFLA was at the table when they were being developed and advocated for the inclusion of access to information, universal literacy, access to ICT, and cultural heritage. And when the agenda was launched in 2015, it was signed by all 193 member nations. This is a great opportunity for us to promote what libraries can do to help make the world more sustainable and fairer. But we need to make the goals known. We can tell the story of how libraries are so important and make a contribution. 65% of the targets have to be achieved locally. So it's necessary that we have conversations with our communities and find out what's important for them. IFLA's got a website called Library Map of the World, and part of the website has a collection of stories from libraries around the world that show how they are helping to achieve the targets. But before I share a story from this website, I'd like to tell another story. And it's a story I've told a number of times now when I'm talking about reducing inequalities, particularly relating to the digital divide. And to set this story in context, I attended the IFLA President's meeting in Buenos Aires last year, and we launched the DA2I report, which is produced by TASHA, the Technology and Social Change Group at the University of Washington Information School in the US. This report is done in conjunction with IFLA. So the DA2I report, the Development and Access to Information report, describes how libraries can assist with achieving the United Nations Agenda and the Sustainable Development Goals. One of the speakers at the launch was Tim Unwin, and he's the UNESCO Chair for ICT Development. And he says that technology is increasing inequality. While digital technologies offer vastly increased opportunities for knowledge sharing, 44% of the world does not have access to the internet. And without universal access, inequality will increase. And he told us librarians that just providing access to content isn't enough. We also have to provide access to technology and training for people to be able to access online content. In 2016, the Pew Research Center released a report on digital readiness in relation to online learning and American adults, and it assessed the ability of adults to use online learning tools, and the results were really disturbing. The research shows that only 17% were digitally ready to undertake online learning, and that was back then, and we all know this year how important online learning has become. I know that public libraries have long recognised the need to provide support and facilities for those in danger of being left behind. And so, when I want to illustrate this point, I tell the story of how when I was in Manila to attend the Philippine Library Association conference in 2018, I visited Quezon City Public Library. And the library there is providing a wide array of services, including digital access to legal ordinances, as well as computer and internet services. It supports local government and the information needs of the community. As well, it has college student volunteers who join librarians in outreach activities to local youth and remote libraries. And it's a really popular and much appreciated service. And when I was there, I saw how many people were lined up outside waiting to use the computers and to get the assistance they need to apply for jobs and use e-government services. I love telling this story. I think it's just fantastic. So well done, Quezon City Libraries. So I've chosen another story to tell you today too from the Library Map of the World SDG Stories website. And I thought this one might be interesting to you. It's from Singapore. It's about literacy and reading. And literacy, of course, is included in the overall vision for the United Nations 2030 agenda. Universal literacy is one of the things that's mentioned in the vision. Before I share it, though, I would like to encourage you all to think about some of the stories about what you're doing in your libraries and submit them to the Library Map of the World SDG Story website, because I know you're doing fantastic things in the Philippines and you're having a real impact on your communities. And so it'd be really great if you could share that with the rest of the library community. And you all know my dear friend, Elvira Lapuz. She's been very involved in IFLA's advocacy work, and I know that she would be very happy to talk to you about what you can do. So this story from Singapore is called Kids Read, and it empowers children from lower income families with English language skills. The program's helped more than 50,000 children from lower income families aged from 4 to 8 years to develop English literacy skills before they enter primary school. It was launched in 2004 and is a nationwide community-based reading program. As you know, Singapore is a multicultural country where English is the lingua franca. Therefore, a strong foundation in English is necessary. This program focuses on children from lower income families. Most of them come from non-English speaking environments, and they haven't been exposed to reading before. And it's delivered through a network of reading clubs at community centres, primary schools, preschools, volunteer welfare organisations and family service centres. And volunteers manage and facilitate the sessions. And the volunteers are seniors, young professionals and students from secondary schools and junior colleges. So Kids Read started with just 9 clubs and 73 volunteers. And over the years, it has grown to 350 clubs, staffed by more than 1,000 volunteers. Research has shown that Kids Read participants have shown a significant improvement in their ability to express themselves in English. They use English more frequently and their English vocabulary has improved. A study by National Library Board of Singapore from 2017 showed that 4 out of 5 children who participated in the program had a positive reading attitude and demonstrated improved reading skills. And there is a video about this program. If you go to the Library Map of the World website, which is clearly shown on the IFLA front page, homepage, and if you click through on Library Map of the World through to the SDG stories and then just type in Singapore, and there's I think there's 42 stories there now just talking about how libraries all around the world are helping to achieve the Sustainable Development Goal targets. So please have a look. So I think that story too was a great example of my president's theme, which is let's work together. Because I think that story shows the power of working together, because the library itself couldn't provide such services. But it's by working with volunteers and other government departments, it has really been able to provide a terrific, sustainable, long-term program. I really believe we have to work together. We can't have fragmented responses. We have to amplify the voice of libraries. And for partnerships to work, both parties have to have a clear idea of what they want to achieve and what they each bring to the table. And we also need to think strategically about partnerships and work together at all levels. So we need to work together at our workplaces, with the libraries in your region, with different kinds of libraries and between library associations. And we also need to align ourselves with other organisations and people who want to achieve the same things, who have the same values that we do. And so, as you all celebrate LIS month, think about how you can relate to funders and stakeholders in your local community to advocate for libraries. And I think the way to do that is through storytelling. And as you advocate, you are showing yourself to be a leader, because we all need to be able to tell stories of the great work that libraries and librarians do every day. Libraries change people's lives. Libraries are real. Thank you again for the invitation to join you today. I do hope that you're all staying well, This pandemic is a serious and concerning event that is having a huge impact on us all. So, very best wishes to you all. Happy Library Month and see you all soon.
Thank you, Ms. McKinsey, for the wonderful keynote speech. The LIS Month celebration is made up of a series of programs, events, and contests for the whole month of November. Let us watch a video presentation of libraries featuring their live reel activities.
Dagupan City Public Library.
Welcome po sa aming Dagupan City Public Library. Our library is now undergoing massive renovation. But despite the pandemic and the renovation, we at the City Library are still here to service the information needs of our constituents.
Ito po ang aming mobile library. Bago ang pandemya, ito po ay araw-araw na pumupunta sa aming 41 daycare center. Storytelling, fun art activities, at educational film showing ang kadalasan namin ginagawa dito sa aming mobile library. Sa ngayon, dahil panahon ng pandemya at walang pasok ang mga bata, virtual storytelling po muna ang aming ginagawa. Magandang araw mga bata! Kamusta po kayo? Ako nga pala, si Ate Rhea, ang kwentista ng Dagupan City Public Library. Gusto nyo bang makinig ng aking kwento mga bata?
Kuya Rick, ang aming staff, siya yung magde-deliver sa bahay ng mga humihiram ng libro. We also have a library, which is a separate building with 50 computers and with free internet access. This is where we conduct digital literacy trainings to the different sectors in the community.
your support in the LIS month activities. To conclude today's virtual opening event, may we have Assistant Director Edgardo Piqueros of the National Library of the Philippines to deliver the closing remarks.
Good day, everyone. Events that shaped 2020 has greatly impacted our lives, how we work and do things in the so-called new normal. Although pandemic may render the country crippled in general and libraries specifically, this year's 30th Library and Information Services Month theme embodies how libraries can transcend into being library into a yet deemed unknown realm. Using a linguistic blend of words, library, from the words libraries and the words relate, engage, advocate, lead, comprising the acronym REAL, the theme captures the essence of how libraries can and will be able to support the attainment of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development Goals as integrated in the Philippine Development Plan of 2017-2022. As libraries continue to relate with each other through the engagement of its librarians and paraprofessional staff. In many ways such as this, National Library of the Philippines shall remain true to its mandate and play the lead advocate role in ensuring that yearly celebration focuses on public awareness to the invaluable service that libraries and information centers provide. I wish everyone a meaningful LIS celebration 3 decades and beyond.
Thank you all for attending the virtual opening ceremonies of the 30th LIS month celebration. We would also like to thank our partners and sponsors for making this year's celebration possible. Again, I am your host, Jose Tomasito and Fernando, reminding you to spread the word about the LIS month celebration and not the virus. Thank you everyone and keep safe.
The National Commission for Culture and the Arts, National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, and the National Library of the Philippines would like to thank the following: Presidential Communications Operations Office, Philippine Government News Network, the Professional Regulation Commission Board for Librarians, the Philippine Librarians Association Incorporated, Asosasyon ng Aklatan at Pinupa ng Diliman Incorporated, Association of Librarians in Public Sector, Association of Librarians and Paraprofessionals in Zamboanga Peninsula Incorporated, Association of Public Information Specialists of Negros Occidental, Association of Pangasinan Public Librarians Incorporated, Association of Special Libraries of the Philippines,
Librarians Association of Quezon Province, Lucena, Incorporated, Medical and Health Librarians Association of the Philippines, the Philippine Association of Academic and Research Librarians, the Philippine Association of School Librarians Incorporated, the Philippine Association of Teachers of Library and Information Science Incorporated, the Philippine Group of Law Librarians Incorporated, the PNU Library and Information Science Alumni Association, the University of the East Library and Information Science Alumni Association Incorporated, and the UP Library Science Alumni Association Incorporated.